We'll call the meeting to order this morning, the facilities meeting. Need a roll call for this, Kim?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, Commissioner LaHaye,
Pardon?
roll call.
Here.
Okay. Commissioner Fournier,
Here.
Commissioner Konarashevsky.
Here. Okay, everybody would rise with me and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the agenda. Or do we,
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
are there any additions or corrections that need to be done?
My only comment would be, did we want to take them slightly out of order and do Nikki first? Because the other two issues really kind of conflate.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yep, I don't have a problem with that. Any other changes or anything? Okay, so I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda with moving Nikki to the top. Get her out of here.
I'll make that motion with the change. No, we're not.
This is your line, Bill. Okay. Okay, so we've got a motion made by Commissioner Fournier and a second by Commissioner LaHaye. So we'll start out with Nikki.
Thank you. So good morning. I've got 3 matters before you folks today. From what I'm looking at, the first one that the agenda says is request to amend home improvement loan. Is that what you guys are looking at?
Yes.
Yes.
I've done a nice thorough memo on this one, just explaining we have a homeowner that has an existing loan with our program. She currently is required to make monthly payments and her loan is accruing interest. Per the guidelines that were in place when this loan was created, all of that is to a T. Her circumstances have drastically changed due to a divorce situation in her household. I have gathered the judgment of divorce, confirmed a deed has been issued in satisfaction of that judgment, and the wife is now the sole owner of this home. Her income information is drastically different than what it was when this loan was created. And we do locally have the discretion within our guidelines to review these loans when requested, and it is just a local decision if we choose to allow something like that to be modified. So based on her current situation, she by far would qualify today, actually, and in 2021 per those guidelines for a 0% deferred mortgage with our program, which the only change that is to us, it doesn't change the dollar amount. It does eliminate the interest. The interest is not anything that we as the county benefit from. That gets tacked onto money that is future spending. So it doesn't affect our administrative budget in any way, shape, or form to eliminate the interest from her loan. And I just feel like it is, it's consistent with what our procedures have been over the years when these requests have come before us and when that information has been able to be verified that we have modified loans in the past. And I would encourage that we do this in this circumstance. The homeowner we would basically discharge the current mortgage, obviously not until she signs the new documentation. There would be a new mortgage and note signed by the homeowner alone. And those documents would be recorded with the balance as of the date that she signs that paperwork. I've put the dollar amount in my memo. It may fluctuate a little bit because interest has continued to accrue up to this point. And then we would discharge our previous mortgage. So there would be no mortgage recorded at the Register of Deeds indicating payments and interest.
At the time loan was taken out, her husband also signed for this?
Yes, that is correct.
So how could we release him?
Because the mortgage.
As a divorce doesn't mean.
Correct.
He does not have to pay his bills.
Correct. But the mortgage is attached to the home and not necessarily the individual. I agree with you. But now that she is the sole owner of that home cannot transfer ownership without us being repaid. And therefore, you know, we don't stand to not get paid. It's going to sit there existing as a loan on this home as long as this homeowner owns and occupies the home. If she were to leave the home, our mortgage becomes due and payable. If she leaves and doesn't communicate and doesn't sell it and walks away, we're in a position that we would have to foreclose, just like any bank situation. So the security of the note is attached to the home itself. And I don't believe that there's a course of action with the husband or the ex-husband that's no longer in the home. But good question, though.
Right, because he signed the loan.
Correct.
Doesn't matter if they're getting a divorce or not. His name is on that loan.
But instead of the wife and the husband sharing 50% of the commitment, she's taking out 100% of the commitment.
That is correct. Yes, it would be similar to a banking institution allowing the new owner to refinance in that name alone. Really, that's what we're doing. We're allowing her to refinance based on her circumstances. She's now the owner.
Does she work or have a job?
She does, she receives a disability income and she supplements that with a part-time job at Meyer.
Okay.
I see her there all the time. So yeah, she's doing her part. She's, you know, doing the best that she can. Her income is very low and it's tough for her to make these payments.
So the new situation is going to take away the 2%?
It will take away 2%. It will take away the 2% and it will allow this to be a deferred loan that will not require a monthly payment. She still has the freedom to make payments anytime she wishes. She could make those payments weekly, monthly, once a year. If she chooses, that will bring the lien balance down on that home and, you know, increase the equity that she has in her home.
So how long are the payments deferred for?
For the lifetime of her owning and occupying that home. So maybe I should back up a little bit and explain that our guidelines now are any assistance that we grant through the home improvement program in the form of a loan, they are all deferred zero interest mortgages. That is the only way we do mortgages at this time. We no longer do interest. We no longer require payments.
So there's no payment on principal or interest?
Correct.
So does this money come from the county?
It comes from what we refer to as program income, which is a recycling pot of money that we get when loans just like this get paid back. That becomes new money, that becomes federal dollars again, and we put it back out in the community. So it's future spending for us, whether we're receiving that at $100 a month until it's paid off, or whether it gets paid off in 5, 10, 20 years when it's sold.
Okay.
We've got loans right now that have been just sitting there waiting to be paid back from the 70s still. So way back in 1978, we've been running this program, providing assistance to homeowners. Now, about 50 years later, practically, that money is still future money to us. And if that homeowner still occupies that home, it has not become due and payable yet because they still own it and occupy it. So,
So she doesn't have to make any payments at all, then?
pardon?
She doesn't have to make any payments? Huh?
That's my proposal. That's my recommendation, is that we relieve her of that per our current guidelines.
Oh, that would be nice to do that for everybody. So her income is $27,128.
Correct.
Is that from her job and or also?
That's combined her employment income and her disability income together.
Okay, and she can't afford to make a $104 payment.
We don't have a policy to run anybody's credit. We're not a traditional banking institution where we consider credit, so we don't factor in a person's expenses beyond.
So she's asking to live in this home, basically free. until she decides she's gonna sell it.
She still pays her taxes and insurance and
They'll have to do,
obviously all the other responsibilities of.
yeah, they'll have to do that. I'm going to make a motion that we deny this request.
So we have a motion. Do we have a support or no? And how does that work if there's
I'll
only,
support it and then you can vote on it.
Then we vote.
okay. So this is, so we have a motion and we have support, and now I'll
Discussion.
have some discussion. Does this person already have a mortgage on the home? Was the loan from us just in addition?
There is no other lien on the home.
Okay. So I'm only asking because I'm extremely ignorant to this program and
Okay.
I don't really know how this works. So did the person own the home already and the county gave them this money, or did the county purchase the home with the funds?
What we did was we made repairs to this home. So we, through our program income dollars, which are federal grant dollars, made repairs to this home. And we did those repairs in exchange for the homeowner signing a lien in favor of the county to the home in the dollar amount for the repairs that we did to the home. So we never gave dollars to the homeowner. We created a contract between a homeowner and a contractor, and we funded the work that was done with these dollars. Had nothing to do with the purchase of the home, the homeowner. It's a requirement of our program that they already own their home for at least 1 year before they even come to us for assistance. Because we want to ensure that people are staying in their home. They intend to stay in their home. We don't want to get into the habit of helping people flip homes. So we ensure that they've been in their home for X number of months. And we ask a lot of questions to make sure that we believe that they intend to stay in their home. Obviously, things come up and there's no guarantees. Sometimes we'll enter into a mortgage and they'll sell it 6 months later. That's okay, we've put a lien on it, so we're going to get our money back, and then we could turn around and spend those dollars on another home.
Where do the funds for this program come from? It's all state money, you said?
So our program income dollars are 100% dollars that are being paid back to the home improvement program for previous assistance that we've provided. So it could be, just in the past 2 weeks, I got 2 payoffs on loans totaling $20,000, where a homeowner who we did repairs for 10 years ago, they've sold their home. Title work is run. They can't sell it without satisfying the liens that show up on that title work. We hold a lien, so we get paid back. That money becomes program income dollars. MEDC is who we have to answer to and have to report those dollars to. Any dollars received between July 1st and June 30th of the next year become our program income spending in the next fiscal year. So we receive those dollars, we accumulate them for 12 months, and then we get awarded, they become federal dollars again, and we can respend them next year. We can draw a small administrative fee to obviously support the existence of this program while putting the rest of those dollars into new homes, or not new homes, new requests for assistance.
Gotcha.
But Nikki, the original dollars, like the very first dollars that started this program, those were state or federal dollars?
Federal dollars.
That's what I thought.
Yes, so yes, it would have been community development block grant dollars. CDBG dollars have flowed through MISTA. Currently, they flow through MEDC. They're going to flow through MISTA again very, very soon. But regardless, it's federal community development block grant dollars. And the last time we've gotten new grant dollars goes back to 2016, I believe. But there's always been the program income dollars. How do we spend the money that's paid back to us? Either the state tells us how we can spend them, but they're federal dollars.
And all of this money lives in the housing fund, so it does not touch the general fund in any way.
I, myself, cannot see relieving her of this loan. I mean, it would be nice if we could do that for everybody, but she does have an income. Her house payments would be at $104.
Well, we don't know what her house payment is,
Well, it
right?
says right here.
Does she have a mortgage?
She does not have a mortgage
Okay.
beyond our loan.
But it says here, it would be payable at $104 at 2% interest over 25 years. You're talking maybe $1,200. If she makes 27, she's still got 20-some thousand. A lot of people live on that. You just have to, and there's help out there now for your gas bill, your food, or whatever, you know. I cannot see relieving her of this loan and let her live there till she decides to sell the house. People out there are looking for property every day to live in. And they'd gladly pay what they have to pay to get a home. I mean, and it's people's money. It's not federal, it's people's money. And I
Absolutely.
already have a motion out there, so
But if I can just explain, the purpose of our program is to help people stay in their home,
I'd let her stay there as long as she made her payments.
for sure.
I'm not gonna kick her out.
But we don't have any part of our guidelines that even suggest that we get into the area of starting to compare income to debt ratios for homeowners. We're not a banking institution. We're here to help low-income homeowners. And our current guidelines are that we no longer even do interest-bearing loans.
It's just common sense.
We no longer even do a requirement for monthly payments. So what the relief I'm asking for is 100% consistent with today's guidelines. And when we're done talking about this one, I have another project that I have before you today that I'm going to ask to be able to go.
Right.
Well, I know, but it's going to be a situation where the only way that we could do that project is to do a deferred 0% interest loan for this homeowner. We have nothing else in our
So
guidelines.
she's got this one, then she wants to come back with another one.
No, it's a different homeowner. I'm sorry that I jumped ahead. I was
Not
just,
get ahead of ourselves. Let's do the one that's we're looking at.
Person have any children?
it's a one-person household.
Yeah. So there you go.
So if she has children, they don't live with her. That's information I don't know, and I don't have the right to ask if there's none living in the home with her.
So our program doesn't ask, we can't ask about the rest of her financial circumstances. So we don't know anything about her debt situation, if she has other loans that she's paying on, other, medical debt or anything like that that she's having to take care of. We don't know what her other expenses are, if she has a car payment or anything like that, because our program is not allowed and doesn't ask for any of that information.
So the money, where does the money come from? Does it come out of the county budget then?
No.
No.
Nope.
So the county has nothing to do with money.
Well, no, so this program is supported entirely by federal dollars.
It's the people's money. It's our money.
So,
Our money.
right, it is, and eventually we'll get it. It's just a question of when, right? Do we get it in little itty bitty chunks over the next 20 years, or do we get it as a lump sum when she sells the house?
If she sells the house.
Well, the house will transfer at some point,
She can live there till she dies
so.
for free.
But if she leaves, the house reverts back to the system and you can,
Yes,
Resell it, right?
we definitely have procedures built into our guidelines, and if we get faced with having to foreclose on homes, and that has had to happen over the years, it doesn't happen often, but
is she responsible for the upkeep of the home?
absolutely.
She
Absolutely.
pays all the utilities?
Absolutely. Yep, it's her home. She is a homeowner, just like I'm making an assumption that everybody in this room might be a homeowner, and she has all of those responsibilities.
She pays taxes too?
Pays taxes.
Okay. Well,
So we have a motion, so I'm clear, we have a motion
To deny.
to deny this.
Yes.
And we have a support.
Yeah.
So now we'll need to do a roll call vote for denial. So if we vote yes, it will be denied, right? If we vote no, then where do we go from there?
Then somebody would need to make a motion to support this if you wanted to, or the other option would be to table it if you need more information, but Nikki's asking for some kind of action. So your options are a motion to deny it or a motion to approve it.
Deny or accept. We deny, she does not get it. We accept, she gets it.
But you have to vote on your motion right now, and then
Right.
if this motion does not pass, then somebody will need to make another motion to approve this request.
Why would we have to make another motion to approve it if we deny it?
You don't. I said if it is not denied. If the motion does not pass, then it is not denied.
Okay. Well, we have a motion in support of the denial of this. So I guess we'll take a roll call vote.
Commissioner LaHaye,
No.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes,
Commissioner Kondrashevsky.
No. So I would like to add this particular burden to our whole group. I'll make a motion to move this particular vote to the full board.
I'll support that.
So we have a motion in support to table this and move it on to the full board agenda. Can we do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes,
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Kondrashevsky.
Yes. So are there options with this? If it comes to full board, can we remove the interest and ask them to just make a principal payment? Or do we need to follow the parameters of this program? It either needs to stay like it is, or it needs to go into the status of the 0% with deferred payments. And you don't have to answer that now, but maybe you can do that due diligence for the full board meeting. And we can kind of go from there.
I can answer that now, just because, we as a governmental organization, it is our local program. So we hold full discretion on how we respond to this request. I obviously do not independently as the housing director have the discretion to make this decision, which is why I'm here before you today. But if we want to, if the decision is that we will modify some portion of this request, I believe that is a local Alpena County Board of Commissioner decision to decide what to do with this request.
Okay.
There doesn't need to be any other, I don't have to talk to MEDC. They don't get into this part of the business. This is how we've established our program locally.
And I have one more question about this. In this particular situation, I don't know if this person has children or not. If this person wants to move to a different home, can this deed be transferred to someone else?
No.
Or does it have to be sold?
it has to be sold.
If the terms of our program say that our loan is due and payable 100% if the owner no longer occupies the home.
Okay.
So it cannot be, she can't move somewhere else and leave it vacant. She can't move somewhere else and turn it into a rental property.
Or she can't deed it to one of her
She
kids?
can't deed it. It wouldn't be that, you can't stop somebody from signing a quitclaim deed. There's no prevention to get somebody to sign that document. It's not clear title because there's a lien on it. So in title work, if there were ever a future sale, we still sit there and are owed money. Once we get wind that something like that has happened, if she no longer occupies the home, we're going to take measures to foreclose on it.
Right.
That would be our course of action. We could foreclose on this loan by her failure to pay her property taxes. We could foreclose on this loan if she lets her insurance lapse. It's pretty severe. We hold a lot of power because we we put that right into our documents when it's created. We expect them, and part of that is why, because we're giving them sometimes lots of money, not giving them money, but we might be paying for expensive repairs, and they still need to do their part. We want to keep homeowners accountable and responsible.
Right.
Keep your insurance current, keep your taxes paid, don't make us have to track you down. And we spend a lot of time in my office following that. We're constantly burdening homeowners that we don't have this year's homeowner policy. Please make sure we get it within the next 7 days. And that's a everyday process in our office. So
I don't know how we can relieve her of this, of her husband signed. I mean, he just said he doesn't want the home, he gives it to her and he walks away, even though his name is still on the loan.
But it's not.
you are correct.
Yes.
You are correct. And if this were a loan with one of our local banking institutions, the judgment can say the wife gets the home. A deed can still be issued in satisfaction of that loan. The husband's still on their mortgage. It's up to the banking institution to decide if they're willing to refinance that mortgage in the name of the sole remaining owner. That's where we are.
Right.
We're in a position where she is essentially asking us to refinance her mortgage. If we get technical about it, that's what the request is.
Right, but if the,
Finance my mortgage per your current guidelines.
and if the bank says no, then he's still stuck.
Absolutely.
Right.
So if
we say no-
Word in a couple of weeks and the answer is no, he is still obligated on this
Right.
loan. You are absolutely correct. I don't disagree with you.
Right.
What's his status? Is he working or?
I have no idea. He's not in the household, so we consider the household income.
Okay, so he's still on the deed, the loan, quite obvious.
On the loan, absolutely.
So what is his status right now if he's still on the loan?
He's on the loan, that's it, that's all we know.
Well, what was the status when you put his name on the loan?
So
He's not on the mortgage right now.
Yes,
he's on the mortgage, yes.
he is.
It's on our loan, so he's on
Yes.
this lien, he no longer is on the title to the house, however, the house has been retitled, correct?
Correct. Payments are being made.
Right.
So we don't have a reason to go find out what money he's making. Payments are coming in regularly every month.
So what's the problem? She just wants to get out from under paying it and not having any interest or anything.
But I don't know that that's fair because we don't know her circumstances. Again, we're not in the business, we don't look at income to debt ratios.
Well, how can you borrow somebody money if you don't know how much they got? It don't make sense to me. And they is still on
We
that.
evaluate their income and we evaluate their assets.
Okay, so
That's it.
they were evaluated, they were given the loan, he is still on that loan, he's not taken off. So what is the true income between the two of them?
Nikki, when was this loan originally done?
2021.
So it was done 2 years ago. And at that time, obviously, we had income information for the husband because it was joint household income.
Correct.
Okay. What is the difference, if that's information that you have, between what their original income was for this and what her income now alone is?
Do you require any updated annual financials from these folks?
No, if we got in the habit of that, I would be before you like this on a monthly basis, asking to reevaluate a loan. I don't know that we want to open that can of worms to start looking at people's financial situation to reevaluate the loans we have because
So, I mean, what we're talking about here is a change in circumstances. So when they when they got this loan 2 years ago, it was a 2-person household with 2 incomes and so the total household income was
The total household income was $40,163.
So twice what she has, a little, not quite twice. Now there's been a divorce. He's not in the home. I'm making an assumption, although we don't know, we're not required to know that there's no spousal support being paid to this person. And so the $100 payment, which was a feasible payment for them when there were two of them in the household with over $40,000 worth of income, she is now saying is not feasible because she has half of that income and doesn't have the additional income to support. I understand Commissioner Fournier's point about,
We're gonna open up a can of worms here, so we.
about there being a second income tied to this mortgage, but as of right now, that income is not required to support this home. I assume he's got a home that he has to support. When people get divorced, that's what happens. You have one household and now you have two households that have to be supported. And so she is simply saying to you guys, as the commissioners, my financial circumstances have changed. The composition of the household has changed. It's not that I don't still owe this money. I would just like relief from the payment
And interest.
based on the changes.
I wish everybody could,
But that being said, you guys have moved this on to full board.
Yes, we did.
So really, there's nothing left here for you guys unless you want to have a
No
motion.
sense talking about it.
yeah, it needs to go to full board.
So
Is it too late to make a motion, Mary Catherine, to remove the husband as a separate matter? Or should we leave that for full board?
Oh, I'd leave that.
Just leave the
Leave it.
and go.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, moving on to the second one.
Second one is I'm asking for approval of a project to move forward. I did a memo, of course, summarizing the gist of this project. Anytime we have a project that's going to exceed $15,000 per our guidelines, I don't have the discretion to approve or deny those requests. So my job is to gather all of the information that we have, get an estimated project cost from our program inspector after a review of the situation at the home and what repairs are requested. So I have our inspector's best guess at this project, which is how we move forward on things. We don't go asking contractors to provide cost estimates until we make an Alpena County decision to move forward on a project. This is a home that has a roof that is leaking seriously, is definitely has met its age limit and is leaking and needs replacing and qualifies for assistance under our emergency repair program along with our housing preservation grant dollars. We use those two dollar amounts together to leverage them off one another and stretch those two different grants farther. The home also has a furnace that is in dire need of replacement. I'm not sure it will make it through another winter. So both pieces of this qualify for assistance through our program. Because the anticipated cost exceeds $15,000 by quite a bit, I'll have you. The only way that we would do the repairs on this home is in the form of a lien. And the only form of a lien that we have per our guidelines is a deferred 0% interest loan to this homeowner. The roof replacement on this home is going to take a little extra because there is suspected asbestos. It's got old slate shingles. And until we get the professionals in there to assess that, we can't say with certainty that there is asbestos. It's just highly suspected, but we don't even spend the dollars to get that testing done and deal with that special abatement until we know that it's a problem. So I can't even move forward with that piece until I get approval by my committee to go forward on this project. If there's not asbestos, great. Some of that dollar amount will come off of that anticipated cost. There is a land contract on this home. That is something that we can work with. If there's a land contract owner, if there's a land contract holder in agreement with the assistance that's being requested, willing to sign the lien documents and subordinating to our lien that we're going to put on the loan, which means we are going to be in a first place position if any transfer of ownership or sale of this home happens, if we get paid off before the land contract does. And the land contract holder is fully informed of that and agreeable and wants to sign the paperwork to allow this to move forward.
So if we move forward with this today, how does your program work? Do you guys go out and get a couple of different estimates, I assume?
Yep, we get at least, in a perfect world, we'd try to get 3 comparable cost estimates. Man, we beg for 2 right now these days.
Yeah, right.
But yes, so we do get comparable numbers, at least 2, and we award the low bidder. We don't have to do a formal bid process through the Housing Preservation Grant and through CDBG's program income requirements. We can go with cost estimates, so we don't have to have a formal sealed bid process. We can have phone calls and emails and have them rolling in at various times, and it's a little more casual situation there, but we do talk to at least 2 professionals. We will have to bring in a professional as far as the asbestos determination and possibly removal. That I don't know what we have available to us in Alpena County. There may not be more than 1 to choose from in that field, but I'll discover that as I'm going forward.
Okay,
So just to, right now, the estimated total cost is $42,500. That is for both the roof and the furnace. And I just want to make a little side note on that. We have it built into our guidelines that we can grant projects that are under $15,000. So I, as the housing director, have some discretion. As the housing director, have the discretion to replace a furnace and be able to move forward on some projects that are pretty emergent. And that's been really a blessing over this past year. And we've been able to help a lot of homeowners. But what that does is it does not bring future money back into our program. So we have the dollars available. We can grant some projects that are smaller projects. But we also want to be doing some bigger projects because that's future money to come back to us. Whether it comes back to us in 5, 10, 20 years, it keeps this program always working. So while it's great to be able to do the small emergent things very quickly and without a payback, it's also nice when the big projects come before us because we still need to depend on those for the future existence of this program.
sure.
I'm gonna make a motion so we can have discussion. I make a motion, we vote this down.
Okay. So we have a motion to deny this request. I'll look for a support and then we'll have discussion.
Right.
Do I have your support? No?
It's dead in the water.
Okay. So what happens then?
So
It's
somebody
10.
could make a motion to approve the request, and then there could be the discussion.
Okay. So,
We have the director here advising us to do this. So we should go along with her recommendation.
so are you making a motion?
I'll make a motion that we go along with Nikki's.
Okay.
You made the motion? Okay, I'm not gonna support it.
Okay. So we have a motion and I will make a support myself and we'll move on to discussion. Obviously, we've already had a fair amount of discussion.
Oh, we have not.
Well, for this particular item, so we have a motion to approve it. And I have, this is confusing with 3 people. So I'm going to,
Bill should have had somebody take his place.
yeah, so,
Well, technically, Bill only sits in his capacity as chair. So you guys are this committee. The full committee is in fact present.
Okay, so he made a motion, you supported it.
So I'm going to
Now you can
withdraw
have discussion.
my support.
Now we
And
don't have support.
I got to think, I want my goal here is to also move this on to the larger group. So I guess let me think about this.
All of them, I mean, essentially, all of them are going to get moved on to full board. So if you make a recommendation to approve this, then it goes on the consent calendar. Anyone can pull it off of the consent calendar, but it still has to be approved by the full board on the consent calendar to move forward. I mean, you have moved the previous one on without a recommendation, so it won't go on the consent calendar. You could do a similar thing with this one, and we could simply move it forward, and then it will be just a matter that will be an item on the agenda for discussion. There's a motion, if you support it and it passes, then this goes on the consent calendar. And then if somebody on the board would like to pull it off of the consent calendar for further discussion, they can, or it would get passed as part of the consent agenda. So, I mean, all of these are going to go on to full board.
Catherine, can I ask a question on that? Because I was under the understanding that a board action was put in place that said that this is the deciding body for requests made to this, by this program. So it's not automatically going to go to the consent calendar.
Right.
So you would have to specifically request that the full board hear this request if that's what you want. Am I
Correct,
on
Nikki,
saying that?
because of the program guidelines that were put in place. That is correct.
If you leave your motion, we can have a discussion.
Okay, so we have a motion to
Approve.
approve this. And I will support that approval.
Okay,
And now we're on to discussion.
right. Okay, I have a question. Correct me if I'm wrong. I do not see any income on here for this person.
Correct. That's not, I mean, I'm happy to share that income, but when I bring a project to this committee, I have already determined that their income, I've run all the reports with HUD and I've determined that they fall within our guidelines. So our guidelines, oh my gosh, I don't have a very key document in my file.
Yeah, because you have,
Apologies for that.
on one, you have an annual income. On the second one, you do not have an annual income.
Correct.
So-
Completely different circumstances, but yeah, so we have a very black and white income eligibility guidelines. And I don't have them in front of me right now, and I apologize for that. But for a 3-person household, which is what this household is, our guidelines are $46,480. If a 3-person household has income that falls below $46,480, that homeowner qualifies for our program. Black and white, I can't change that. That is federal. That is a federal number that's dictated to us every year.
Okay.
So I have evaluated their income and they fall under $46,480 in that household. And that's why I don't share the income information, because I've already made that determination that they've fallen below that number.
So this one here is also asking for the loan with no interest and no payments for God knows how long. And they want to borrow $40-some thousand.
Yes.
And it is on a land contract currently. And if I could be wrong, but on a land contract, it still belongs to the homeowner. But the people that are purchasing it on a land contract, so much per month. So if we're saying, okay, they don't have to pay us, the guy that has a land contract is still going to get paid.
Absolutely.
So they can afford to pay a land contract, they cannot afford to pay the repairs. Okay, I've been on a real estate I used to sell it. So I've been on real estate so long that I realized a lot of things had changed. And this guy that holds the land contract, he's willing to let them come first. If they don't pay it, then we can sell it and get our money. Is that what he's saying?
Yes, we secure our position as a first.
Right, I understand that.
Yes.
And he's saying that he will sign the papers.
He has to. We won't go forward unless he does. We would never allow ourselves to go behind a land contract.
So therefore, here we are with another person that wants no loan, no interest, no payments, no interest. Just wants us to fix our house. So that would be two people we were looking at right now. If we keep giving everybody what they want for free, we ain't gonna have any income until they die or sell the house. So we can't, it's like a me too situation, or the dominoes are falling. I'm not gonna say anymore.
That's okay. This is what our program is here for.
Right, and it's our money, it's the people's money. Even though it's coming from the federal, it's people's money.
And just a reminder, Commissioner Fournier, this is your current program guidelines.
Okay.
Your current program guidelines call for 0% deferred payment loans.
Which I don't have a problem.
Well, that's what this person is requesting. Exactly what your county-approved program guidelines call for is what this person is requesting. And not even really requesting, like, this is the program. The only reason Nikki is here is because the dollar figure is higher than what she would have the authority to approve on her own.
right.
So if it were $15,000 or less, Nikki could just approve this as part of the program guidelines and they would get a 0% deferred payment
Right, but they're
loan
not asking for that amount, they want 40-some thousand.
because of the nature of the project.
Right. And we just had a roof repaired and that's,
Can I make another statement?
Yeah, of course.
Anytime that I am bringing a project before you asking for approval to go forward, unless there's something very unique in the circumstances that it falls under $15,000 that I don't feel comfortable allowing that to go forward, anytime I'm before you, it will be to do a project in the form of a 0% deferred interest loan. That is the only way we do assistance exceeding $15,000. There's nothing other than that. That is our guidelines exactly to a T. That's all we do. So either we need to revisit our guidelines and say, we're only going to help low-income homeowners for projects under $15,000 and we're going to grant everything. We have no money coming back in the future. But anything over $15,000, we're going to give them in the form of a loan so that sometime down the road, we're going to get money back and continue to be able to help future homeowners. This is what we do. We don't want to, our goal is to help low-income homeowners remain in their homes. And if we have somebody with a roof falling in and they can't afford to repay it and they already have a lien on the home in some form, they can't afford to fix their home, who could blame them from walking away? And then we're just adding to our housing crisis. Our goal is to help people continue to own a home, continue to live in it. And this is the funding we have, and this is how we give it. This is not unique to Alpena County. Other organizations all over the state of Michigan, probably all over the country, are doing this exact thing. We're giving loans. We don't want that loan. We don't want to burden them with another payment. We want them to stay good on their first mortgage. We want them to pay their taxes. We want them to pay their insurance. And we know that money is going to come back to us. And we're not in a situation right now that we're hurting for the dollars coming in. We get payoff. We can't predict when the payoffs come in, but we get them. And we've exceeded $100,000 in money coming into our program annually for multiple years in a row. Heaven forbid, if I get too much more than that, we can't spend it. And we pay money back to the state. And I'll remind you, we had to do that last year. And I was
just gonna say.
We're gonna get on that topic in my next.
right.
But, so we want future money, but we also, if we get too much, we don't have the capacity to spend it all either. So it's working out really well to have, to be able to grant some dollars. It's okay. It's a small project. I don't want to babysit taxes and insurance on a weekly basis for, a $1,200 water heater, but that's what we used to do. And now we get to help those folks out with a grant, and it's working really well. But it doesn't take away from the fact that we still need program income coming in. So if we deny this request, that's $42 that I still have to spend. I can divvy that up and do 4 furnace replacements at $10,000 each. And none of that's gonna come back to us because we're going to grant it to them for free. So in this case, we have a $42,000 project. It's money we want to come back. We want to do some lean situations. And we want to spend all of our dollars.
Okay, so remind me, if you will, what's our motion right now on the floor?
You said, yeah,
We have motion and support. Okay, now we're at a roll call vote.
right.
So a yes vote would allow Nikki to move forward with this. Okay,
Okay, Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
No,
Commissioner Konarshewski.
yes. So I will add some comment. Don't let today take any wind out of your sails.
Oh, good.
It is an understanding, and I agree 100% where Brenda's coming from. A lot of people are fed up in the world with the free money situation. My ignorance is with exactly how your program works, because Brenda's concerns are justified. I still, and we can talk later, I still don't fully understand your program. And that's my problem. So I want to understand that better, because I can see, unless we continually get a grant every year, I have a little better understanding, but I would like to have a further discussion with you so I can make a better choice on voting moving forward. And this is a good program and we need it,
we do.
100%. But I agree, hearing your comment of having too much money, we have to spend it, that makes me feel a little bit better, because I do have I'm ignorant as to where all this money comes from. So,
Absolutely.
but yeah,
I do believe that there's been discussions about kind of having a home improvement program 101 and kind of fitting that into the year's schedules. And we have had conversations, because I would definitely welcome that, the opportunity to just sit down and talk about how this program operates and how the different funding sources work. And so I would welcome that opportunity, and I appreciate you saying that.
yeah, and I think it would be good, because there are a lot of new commissioners. And I, for one, am very ignorant to this. I know it's a program we need, and I know it's something we want to move forward with, for sure. But I think it would heed better results and maybe quicker votes if we understood exactly how it worked.
Nikki, I appreciate you bringing this to us, because you have to. But, and I'm not trying to be mean.
No, I get it. You have questions.
Everybody's me too, me too. I would love to go to you and say, hey, we need a new driveway or furnace or whatever. And our income is $20,000. And I want a loan with no interest and no payments. That'd be nice. In a perfect world. This is not a perfect world, and I'd love you for what you're doing, but sometimes you have to.
And if I can just respond to that comment, and I mean, this is not unique to this project at all, but just, we see homeowners come in every day, and I guarantee you that there's some that I'm excited to help, and there's some that I wish I didn't have to help. And a lot of it is the mindset and what they think they're entitled to. And I don't get to differentiate between that. I have guidelines that I have to follow, and I have paperwork. As long as everything is complete and in order and they're eligible, I have to set my personal opinions aside, because I see it from all ends of the spectrum, exactly what you're talking about there. So I have folks that come in, it is, in their world, it is the worst thing that they have ever done in their life, is come and ask for this help. And I'm glad that we're there for them.
Right.
But they've had to swallow a lot of pride to walk in my door.
Sure.
And
I
us,
do that every day.
and us as county commissioners sit here and have to make the tough decisions.
Yes.
And believe me, a lot of them are tough. You have to be tough to make these decisions.
Yep. So,
Well, thank you very much.
So I'm not asking for anything of you on the next one. So I just wanted to let you know what I think is good information. Brenda was here last year and is, as I already alluded to, we were in a reorganizational phase of this program, and I was the new girl and figuring life out and just trying to get us ready to spend dollars again. So last year, we very painfully returned some of our program income money, a pretty hefty dollar amount exceeding $100,000 to MEDC that we did not have the capacity to spend. It was a reorganizational year, and the terms of program income are, if any dollar of your program income that you brought in over the last 12 months, if you can't spend every dollar in the next 12 months, you send it back to MEDC. And it goes back out into the taxpayer world in some way, shape, or form. We don't know if Alpena County ever sees that again. It may not be in the form of home repair assistance. We don't know where it goes. It just has to go back to MEDC. And that's what we did a year ago. This year, I'm extremely happy to tell you that I had $155,000 to spend, and I spent every dime. And I just filled out a report that is sitting over in the commissioner's office for Chairman Peterson to sign, to submit that to MEDC, telling them exactly how we spent every dollar. And I've just summarized that in the memo that I gave you today. And so I just wanted to highlight that and just bring some good news and not ask for anything. And so if you have any questions about that, and maybe after we talk more at length about how the program works, even that report might make a little more sense, but that's the gist of it. We bring in money for a 12-month period, we spend it in the next 12-month period. We have to hold on to it in our housing fund until we get the okay to spend it next year. And with that okay from MEDC, possibly MISHDA in the future, that's when it becomes federal dollars again. So we have to treat it like federal dollars, even though it never left our home improvement fund bank account. It becomes federal money again, and we spend it per the federal guidelines and the state's rules and our local program income guidelines. And so I'm in now a new year of spending. And I told you in the last paragraph, I've got a pretty significant sum of money. If we add up what I have in HPG dollars and my current pot of program income dollars, I'm at about $400,000.
Just for this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm saying that with a little bit of panic, but at the same time, we're going to do it. So we've got the applicants, and what I've brought before you today, well, this project that we just talked about is a chunk of that. And I'm not going to lie, I'm feeling a little grateful that a $42,000 check might come off the top of that, because spending $400,000 in that little department is a challenge. And in today's struggles with contractors, that is a real struggle. And it's a lot of challenges. So that's where we are. And I just wanted to bring you up to speed. And I mentioned, the 13 homeowners that we assisted with that pot of money, just to kind of put it, what did we do? And that's what we did. We got some people heat over the winter. We got some people working sewer and septic systems. We got people running water that didn't have running water. It's
All good things.
It's all good things.
Yeah, definitely.
You will see me, and just kind of a follow-up to that, you will see me at the next finance. There will be some definite numbers making its way from the home improvement fund over to the general fund. Right now, the office has been living off of the general fund with the anticipation of dollars getting to come over and basically make it break even. And that you will see that start to come through. It's taken the whole year to get there, but we're there. And I'm going to be happy to bring some requests to be able to move some dollars from one fund to the other that will basically give back the general fund everything it had to advance to make this year happen.
Right.
So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
thank you for all of your time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
keep up the good work.
Thank you.
So can I make an amendment to this agenda that we move Patrick up to next so we can get him out of here?
You guys' agenda.
Okay.
You can do
Let's
that.
get Patrick back to work.
We want you out of here, Patrick.
I got a few things to do. All right. So I only did get one quote because, like she said, contractors are hard to get. So as far, I don't know if anybody has any questions as far as the house quotes go or anything. I'm not 100% sure. They didn't inform me why he was gonna replace the entire roof.
Well, and Patrick, this is something where, you know, you and I need to really have a discussion about this and work with Wes. That entire roof was replaced about 4
That's
years ago.
what he said.
So I don't know why they think they need to replace the whole roof. I certainly don't think they do. And this project is not anything that we budgeted for this year. So you know, if there is leaking, that is undeniable. I'm not sure that we really have a good diagnosis as to why we are getting leaking. And I don't know that any of these repairs, these estimates, I feel comfortable are going to actually fix the problem. So I would really like to.
Let's look at this.
He has not looked at these yet. Wes is on vacation this week, so I would really love to table this if that's okay. And talk to Wes about these and see if we can do some additional diagnosis work. We've talked about, is it the window that's leaking? We've put additional caulk around the window. There seems to be some stuff coming from the side. For you guys' information, this is a, prefab is not the right word. It would, what's that?
Manufactured.
Modular, manufactured home that was moved from out near the airport about 20 years ago.
They weren't built then.
Yeah, modular homes have been around for quite, these manufactured homes, but this was an early version. And so was it really meant to last 35 years? Probably not. So, I'm hesitant to really dive into, you know, a $6,000 or $8,000 repair, not feeling real confident that this is going to fix our problem. Because then we need to replace flooring because the flooring has gotten damaged from the water. And so.
And I'm sure that it got in between the walls
Probably.
and you're talking insulation and it's probably a mess.
So if all we do is put a new roof on it, is that really going to solve the issue? And I don't think the roof is really
They
the
just
issue.
replaced the roof not that long ago. It's
Biggest, he saw the big dip on the top of the roof and went up there and I was like, according to Wes, it's been there for a while, so
Well, and is a dip,
it's not even next to where it's leaking.
right?
Structural.
And exactly, that's probably a structural issue, not just ripping off and putting new tile on, a new roof on. So
I was very confused as well.
yeah, so I would say we table this.
Why don't we have Wes look at it
Yeah,
and then
table it.
bring back recommendation?
Right.
And
Possibly might need to replace the whole unit instead of putting dollars in something that's just not going to fix it.
I wouldn't be in favor of that, but anyway, I will make the motion that we table this. Until Wes gets back.
I'll support that.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and support. We're not moving or spending any dollars, so do we just need to take a roll call vote, I guess, not roll call, what's it called?
just do a voice vote.
Yeah, okay. So all in favor of tabling this? Okay, when are we tabling it to
Aye.
the next facilities meeting or full board?
Just next facilities meeting.
Okay. So we have a motion to table this until the next facilities meeting. And all in favor of doing so?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, we've got votes. We're going to table this to the next meeting. And maybe you could get with Wes in the meantime and, you know, maybe you guys can get a game plan together. That way we could have some, you know, true estimates.
Yeah.
A little bit more fitting so we can expedite this process, because really, if we're going to be doing some roof repairs, we should be doing them very soon.
Yes. We should, if we're gonna do them in this calendar year. The other option, of course, is, we are in budget season and it dovetails nicely into the discussion about what we should be budgeting in our 402, our buildings and grounds funds, which is that we put, $10,000 or $15,000 in as a repair project for the house at the fairgrounds for 2024 and start looking towards the spring. It means, we might still have some additional damage over the winter, which is something we have to think about.
Roof still leaking?
The window, the last rainstorm we had, it leaked a little bit more. I mean, it wasn't as bad after we did the caulk, but I mean, it's still, well, it depends, because sometimes when it rains, it all depends on which way the rain's coming too. Sometimes when it rains, it doesn't leak really much. You might have a few drops. Other times there will be a 2 foot by 2 foot puddle in the dining room. So, and you can tell it's coming from the window because like the bottom corner, if you're looking at the window like this, it'd be this bottom corner will be wet. And then the wall's all soft down there. So.
Okay.
Right, and it seems to mostly happen when it's rain, not so much with snow and snow melt, which again leads me to think it's not the roof.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay.
Other things, it's kind of weird doing an August report when it's September, but, so the Merchants Building, we were gonna wait till after fair, but now we have Model T cars in there till October 6th or 7th, I think it was. Which might not be a bad thing, because then after the park closes, we can just close the bathrooms down, close the Merchants Building down, and do all the repairs at once. As long as maintenance and I can coordinate and we can do things together. The big thing I wanted to ask, which I kind of mentioned to Mary Catherine about at the park manager's meeting, was a new sign. So I took it upon myself, probably shouldn't, but I did. And I asked Ryan Fairchild at Omega on getting me a price for a new sign. It would be all digital. When I talked to him, he would donate taking the old one out and putting a new one in.
I have a question. Sign for what? So
The
I,
one out by the road.
okay. All right.
That we put all the events on and everything.
All right.
To me, it's 21st century. Something that's old and looks from 2000s is not, trying to do improvements as much as I can. And I think a big step with everybody having digital signs in Alpena County would be moving us up to the digital sign. It would allow us to be able to put multiple events on it as well, instead of just having one thing at a time. He would donate the removal of the old sign and the installation of the new one. My big question is, am I okay to ask for sponsorships for it?
How much is it?
$36,260.
Yeah, see, there's like some previous decisions that have to be made. One is that we're gonna do the sign. Then how much can we afford? And then can we get sponsorships to help balance that out? We're in budget season. You've brought this forward. It is something that we have on our CIP, which is our capital improvement plan. And so now the request is this something that we can budget for 2024? Right? So that will be something that we can put on the budget request, and then the board can make a decision about whether or not that's something that they want to fund as part of the 2024 budget. Yes, I think sponsorships would be a great idea, in my opinion. The board can,
A lot of spots.
can chime in. But, then there would have to be a discussion about what we would be asking for in terms of sponsorships and what does that buy you. So there would have to be a plan.
So I actually kind of came up with something ironic because I used to play football, but when I was driving by the Wildcat Stadium, I remembered when they did that sign and how they put the top sponsorships around the bottom of the sign. And I was thinking if we asked for sponsorships and did like 4 spots on each side, if you wanted to buy both, well, say Home Depot wanted, it would be east and west side. there would be $2,500 a slot. So there would be 8 slots times by $2,500. Then they would have their top sponsorships, and that would be on there for the lifetime of the sign. That was just something I came up with the other day. I mean, $2,500 was just a number that I came up with, but it would be something that would give you X amount of dollars towards a new sign. But obviously we can talk about that another day. As far as campground activities, fair was August 11th through 20th. I talked to Fair Board a little bit about that. Apparently it went really well. There was no issues as far as camping portion. Overflow lots were amazing. We had about 8 people back there. They had brought in roughly, if I did my numbers correctly, about $1,400 between people that were staying there all week long and people that just came in half the time. So it's something that since it did so well, I think we could look at doing it again next year. As far as site notes, lot 66, when it rains heavy, floods. Wouldn't mind maybe this fall building it up a little bit, possibly even drain tile. I don't think that's quite necessarily. I think we just put a little bit more dirt in there and build up the road a little bit to where it's kind of level and drains off towards the racetrack. Which, if I did look at, I do have money available in the grounds maintenance, and that's something that I can take care of too on that, as far as leveling it off with the tractor and gravel. With the fair, we were roughly about $20,000 over budget. Now we're currently about we are $26,863 over on camp fees. So that's very nice, almost 200% over on that.
So you want to be careful with how you phrase that, Patrick. When you say over budget, people are making an assumption that you are negative. So what you want to say is you are $20,000 positive to budget, which is to say you made more than was budgeted.
I understand that one.
Okay.
Okay, so we're $26,863
Positive to budget.
Yeah.
There you go.
which is nice. And that's, I mean, just taking some quick numbers real quick. I mean, we were only amended 62,850. And currently, as of this morning, we were $70,082. So, and that's not including any winter storage, which if I did quick numbers from last year and we brought in 26,000 last year. So that my goal is to hit 100,000 this year. I had on here that possible to move $100 from fire suppression to janitorial, just to be safe. That's kind of something that I do need now, because I did have to go out and get 2 supplies from Eagle the other day, which I think was about $25, $26. So if we could move that, that would be appreciative. As far as upcoming and needed maintenance, I did some road grading yesterday, actually, because potholes were getting ridiculous. And the county truck is in for repairs as of right now. I don't know, you know more about that than I do, but that's about it.
So yes, the county truck. A little frustrated, but it is what it is. So this truck was not slated for replacement. It had some repairs that it needed. The initial estimate on the repairs was $2,200. That was approved. We took it in. When he opened it up, of course, there's a whole bunch more. So now it needs wheel bearings, as well as tire rods, tire end rods.
Where's it at?
It's at Northern Collision. Calipers, brake pads, rotor discs,
Good, great.
ball joint. So, I mean, essentially, we're rebuilding this stupid truck, excuse me. So $3,800 is the total tick, but we're already into it for $2,200. So at this point, we just have to repair it. Otherwise, it is a piece of junk that we will get nothing for. It is a 2012 Ford 250. I mean, assuming we do all these repairs and drive it for a year, could we get $5,000 out of it? I think it's questionable, but maybe.
I think it should last a lot more than a year.
I know, I just, you never know with older trucks. It's a 2012. We're going to put almost 4,000 into it. Hopefully it'll give us another 3, 4, 5 years.
Sure. What, was Northern Collision one of the original estimates?
We get WERDA's and then Northern Collision, and Northern Collision did come in lower, and they're on the enterprise program, which I have to say, I really like. This is the first time that I have gotten, we've done a major repair through enterprise. And I gotta tell you, this is so much nicer than any bill or estimate I get from any car repair shop. Like, it is everything, all listed out with prices, and it's gone through enterprise price review. So they've looked at it and made sure all the pricing is in line with what they would expect, both regionally and in our area.
Okay.
Hi, Catherine.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any vehicles laying around that we, truck,
That we what?
that we have laying around?
Nope.
They're all gone, huh?
Pretty much. And unfortunately, now the shared use vehicle has to go in because it's leaking fuel.
Okay.
So maybe, what is the shared vehicle right now?
It's one of the Tahoes from the
Sheriff's car, right?
Right, it's
That we
sheriff's vehicles.
wore out, Travis.
Right.
We shouldn't be putting any money into it.
Yeah,
We
right.
should get rid of it.
Has Enterprise already picked up the others at the sheriff's office?
They, honestly, when I drove by yesterday, the ambulance was still sitting there, but I don't know if the other vehicles were still sitting there. But I could ask Eric if one of those is in better shape than this one.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give him a call. Maybe we should ship that thing out.
So this one is in, I haven't authorized any repairs yet. I'll have an estimate hopefully later today about the fuel issue, and they're looking at the brakes.
You
Okay,
have to replace the fuel lines and stuff. It's gonna cost you a couple $1,000 or more.
sure. That's at Northern Collision also?
No, that one's at Werda's.
Okay. 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 All righty.
Yay,
Right.
never stops.
So about the tractor here, how our budgeting process or how our funds work. Obviously, we would try to keep the overage in at the fair. It's the fair's overage.
Well, it's a general fund, a department. So the fairgrounds are just part of the general fund. So if they, as of right now, so if they make more than is budgeted, then that money just rolls into the general fund and then becomes available for spending next year.
Okay. So we would need to budget for that for next year.
Yes.
And hopefully we would have these proceeds to, is there an old tractor now there?
Yes.
What, does that thing have any value? What is the old tractor?
It's maintenance track.
Oh, it's, okay, it's theirs, okay.
So this is one of the challenges with the fairgrounds, Commissioner Kozowski. So for your history, Wes Wilder was actually both our maintenance superintendent and the caretaker for the fairgrounds for many, many years. So he actually lived at the fairgrounds in that house. And so things got very mixed, right? Because he would just use maintenance equipment to do work at the fairgrounds, and he just took care of it. And his guys handled a lot of stuff at the fairgrounds because it all just got muddled. And of course, the fact that our shop is out there and all of our equipment lives out there further muddles it. And this happened before I came, when Wes made the decision that he, wanted to retire from being the fairgrounds manager as well as being our maintenance superintendent, and moved out of the house, and we hired Patrick and Marissa. pulling the two things apart has been a real challenge, and figuring out how we have stuff that Patrick can access. Because I understand Wes not wanting to give somebody just free rein in his shop, right? Patrick is not a maintenance employee. He is part-time. He has different responsibilities. But then what equipment really belongs to the fairgrounds caretaker per se, so that he can have access to it and use it whenever he needs it? And what does he really need in terms of the fairground piece for it? Like, for instance, Patrick, the maintenance guys do all the mowing out there, have for years. And it is now a maintenance task to mow at the fairgrounds. You mow what, around the house and
A little bit behind where the shed is and everything. Not
not
It
much,
takes me an hour,
yeah.
so.
And all the rest is done by the maintenance crew. Somewhat similar with some of the work that Patrick is talking about with grading. You know, historically, that's been something that the maintenance guys have taken care of, or plowing. The maintenance guys have taken care of that. Obviously, Patrick does a little bit of plowing because he would like to get into his driveway sometimes when our guys haven't been there yet.
And I have no problem plowing either too, that
Right.
relieves too, especially since that truck has a plow for it.
So, you know, this has been a continual process of kind of pulling these things apart. So, you know, when Wes was out there and he handled the winter storage, he would just use whatever piece of equipment maintenance had, right? If he needed to use the big tractor or the little tractor or a truck, or
It was available, he took it.
it was available, he used it. And Patrick doesn't have quite that same flexibility in terms of what equipment he can grab to
Sure.
do this. So,
Yeah, yesterday when I graded the roads, I asked him if I could use the big loader, because obviously that would make it a lot easier, and I got told no, which,
well, it wouldn't have been yesterday because Wes is on a cruise ship, but it,
oh, yes, Tim.
Tim, okay, you talked to Tim. Anyway, it has been a challenge, and we need to talk about the roads anyway. That's really kind of a bigger project than just shoving some gravel around. We have a lot of drainage issues out there, and a question of how to regrade those roads in such a way that we're pushing the water correctly. I think we had this discussion a little bit. I can't remember which meeting, they all blend together. But there is a drainage culvert that drains out. But that's of course stormwater. It's grandfathered in that it dumps into the river. I don't think we can have anything dump into the river at this point. I think we have to take it all to the road. And of course, that would be a major engineering feat to get all of the water back to the road, because it all wants to go towards the river. And we get ponding there in the front, we get ponding back in the back. There's one campsite that essentially is underwater half of the year because of the ponding that happens. We have a lot of drainage issues, and I hate to just keep dumping and regrading when it's not addressing the basic drainage issue that we need to address out there.
Well, and
So-
decide if we are gonna need some gravel or crushed asphalt, we need to decide that soon, because those piles need to be out of the airport.
Say, we got them at the airport.
But is that the right product for what we need to do? You know, which circles back around to this largest discussion of what kind of investments are we going to be making in the fairground? You know, are we doing Band-Aid kind of stuff for the next couple of years because we have a larger plan? Are we starting to work towards our larger plan? You know, this is all chicken and egg kind of discussion.
Yeah,
So, yes.
Yep.
So the tractor, circling back around to the request that Patrick has in for a tractor, I understand the request. I feel like in the grand scheme of things that the county needs to be spending, you know, that much money on, where does it fit on the priority list?
and Eric also has gotten into the program with the government, and I know he and I talked about, you know, him searching out on there for a tractor, which would be great, because then it's free, you know?
Yeah.
So then we can get that and put the 20 grand into bleachers or whatever, you know? Yeah, right. Rough.
Got a lot of buildings out there.
Trust me, that's next.
Yep, yep. Okay,
I mean, can we get the gravel from the airport for free or no?
no,
$4 a ton.
it's not free, but the longer it sits there, maybe the price will go down. I'm working on that because it has to be out of there by November 1st.
I thought the contractor was supposed to remove at the,
They are.
Actually, they are, yeah, but
Their
it's gonna come at an
didn't we
expense.
agree to let him do it? We weren't gonna take it because.
Yeah, we
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Do they charge for delivery?
Oh, yeah,
I'm sure they do.
yeah, yep.
How much they charges are? Or-
From there, it'd probably be $5 a ton. Maybe 4, I would guess. But, you know, my thought process is the longer that the material is sitting there, it's gonna cost them a ton of money to move that. So maybe when it comes down to it, instead of them paying $15 a ton to get it to Gaylord, maybe they will give us some. And then we would just have trucking involved.
Right.
So I wouldn't mind getting maybe a truckload and stashing it, cause it's, I mean, being honest, I shouldn't say never, we're not gonna be able to pave the fairgrounds anytime soon.
Sure.
It's not, I mean, probably what, 2-3 years at the earliest?
Where are you
I
gonna,
said earliest.
where are you gonna stash it?
Oh, there's plenty of room.
And it may take a little bit of time, but I would put it up, basically have it like all the other gravel is right now, up along the edge of the fence there. When you first pull in, you got the maintenance building, emergency building, house, I put it up along that, just shape it around. That, I mean,
Then you
we
got,
go all summer long with probably a bucket a week, but maybe every 2 weeks going in and filling potholes. So it's something you're not gonna be able to avoid.
right,
If I could get it for dirt cheap, then it'd be a good thing to get.
right. Okay,
Any other questions?
Oh, I think we're all set.
Well, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
thank you.
Hey, now what's next on our agenda here?
So the next two are kind of intertwined. I wanted you guys to have the two policies that govern our 402 fund and our 613 fund. So those are the funds in which we spend from for capital projects. One is the equipment fund and the other is sort of the capital improvement fund. I just wanted you guys to see the language that's in there because that governs how we split up those two funds and what projects get budgeted from which. And to see if you thought they still made sense, if you wanted to make any changes. I think they still are perfectly functionable at this point as policies. My only thought was, did we want to bump up from the $5,000? That's what's in our CIP. I think it's a little low in terms of capital projects, but you know, it's up to you guys' judgment. Right now, that's our floor. You know, so many projects right now are trending towards $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, even though they really, I would consider them to be more routine maintenance than really a capital project.
You could put everything under $10,000 in the maintenance, you know, and then the capital projects would be the larger projects. I mean, like $5,000 is.
Yeah. My only thought is, you know, if we bumped the facilities, the capital improvement projects, the building projects to 10,000, but maybe left the equipment at 5,000, because there is equipment that we need to replace that might hit that threshold better. But I just wanted you guys to have those funds and to be reminded that that's,
I would just leave it, it wouldn't matter. You could
we also,
pay whatever.
So the CIP for buildings, projects and equipment. Really what I wanted, I had a plan for what I wanted to talk about, and then Eric, Sheriff Smith kind of derailed my plan. So obviously, one of the things that we have done the last couple of years is we have taken chunks of the ARPA funds and put them into our 402 and our 613 funds to help fund projects. We identified, 2 years ago, a lot of sort of just deferred maintenance, upgrades, projects, things that kind of needed to get done that hadn't been done. We did the roofs on this building and the building across the street. We've done, driveway resurfacing. We've done some replacements of HVAC. We are working on the security camera project. We've done flooring. So we did flooring over in the other side of this building. We're doing a big flooring project out at the DHD4 building. So we've done those kinds of deferred maintenance projects. I had initially looked to budget. Last year, we pulled $250,000 from the ARPA fund over into the 402 fund and the 631 fund. I had initially been looking to do a similar kind of thing, do $250,000 into each of those funds. But Sheriff Smith brought to me last week that all of his radios are about to become obsolete. So he got a notice from Motorola that all of his radios as of December 31st, 2023, which is this December, will no longer be supported. So Motorola Solutions, so the above named model subscriber radios have been canceled. They were actually canceled in 2016, but they extended the support for those through December 31st, 2023. So Motorola will no longer be supporting all of the radios that the Sheriff's Department currently has.
What's the cost of?
Yes, funny you ask that question. To replace all of his radios is $272,560.92.
Are those, our funds, can you use any of those for that?
We can use ARPA funds, but here's the scoop, right? With the $250,000 that we just committed to the DDA expansion, the rest of the money that's committed to the recycling center, and if we do 500,000 over into the equipment fund so that we can still do some purchases of some other things that we weren't going to be budgeting for 2024, and I add in the $300,000 that we need for this, and we still do $200,000 instead of $250,000 to the 631 fund, by the end of 2024, you're only going to have about $250,000 left in the ARPA fund. Which, on the one hand, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be spending it down.
When does it have to be spent by?
It has to be committed by 2024, and it has to be spent by 2026.
We have 1.3 left right now. As of, 1.3.
Has he gotten more than one quote on these radios?
No, Motorola, it's really unfortunately a sole provider situation. Motorola really is the only provider.
Well, that's almost something that he has to have.
Unfortunately, yes.
It's like an emergency repair.
I'm a little frustrated that he didn't notice that these were all up this year. So December 31st, 2023, that's a couple of months from now.
Yeah.
They're done.
So what does that mean? They just quit working, or we can't get parts from?
We can't get to parts and they no longer supply them. So if there are any further software upgrades or patches or parts, Motorola will not provide those any longer.
So can we replace them as needed instead of one gigantic lump sum?
I don't know. Those are questions I have not had an opportunity to ask since he just came in and dropped this on my desk. So probably could we get through one more year with them? Maybe. You know, we have been having discussions about revenue in general. Could we wait a year, see if we could get a public safety millage passed and then spend those dollars out of the public safety millage? That's an option. Could I make a strong argument that we could pull some money out of the ambulance fund to help with this? Because one of the things that specifically is called out for the ambulance fund dollars are radios for first responders. Sheriff's Department certainly are first responders.
For the ambulances too?
What's that?
Radios for ambulances and
No, this quote is only for the Sheriff's Department,
just
right?
cars?
Just the cars. Yep.
So what are all of the ambulance people doing? Is there stuff hauled in the water too?
So all of their operating dollars, which would include their radios, are covered out of the contract for services that we pay them. So out of the ambulance fund, the county contracts with the city ambulance department for service in the county. We pay them about, right now, the contract is $940,000 for the year. Requires them to have 3 ambulances ready to go out into the county at all times. And so part of that obviously is radios. But one of the things that the ambulance fund calls out is radio support for all of our other first responder units. So all of the townships. So Alpena Township, you know, all of the rest of the townships can work with the ambulance fund to purchase new radios. And that's managed by our emergency management office. So Kim Alke works with them and we budget that out of the ambulance fund every year.
Is there any grants out there?
There's some money out there. There's some more money potentially coming down the pike, but it hasn't been passed yet. There is a fund for first responders that's working its way through the legislature. Obviously, who knows if and when that might come through. You know,
Well, we could probably take half the money out of the ARPA fund. And give those that really need it the radio and wait till next year and get the other half. I don't know.
I mean, I can go back to the sheriff and ask him to talk to Motorola if we did it in tranches, right? If we did it over 3 years, could we do that? And does that make sense to do? I can go back and ask him. Really, what it impacts is how much money then we would be able to make available for Patrick to buy a tractor, for us to be able to put money
A used tractor.
for a project to repair the house. Wes would like to request us to replace 2 of his zero-turn mowers that are both 10 years old. So what it does is it reduces our ability to buy some of these other things that we had projected for 2024, because now he's going to take up $300,000 with radios that we hadn't known about.
And radios would be at the top of the list. I mean,
They would
the
be.
rest is, but the radios that's a must.
I guess I would like to talk to Eric as well and understand that situation a little better. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we have to do this all at once, that those will just like quit working. I mean, I get it, if we have one fail, then we replace it with a new one, but I guess I would just like to get a better understanding.
Okay.
So
I'll see if I can chat with him some more about it and maybe have the motor.
estimate there. Can you email me a copy of that?
I can.
Okay.
Yep. And really, from what I'm understanding from this, the key is the device management software. It's the piece that connects all of the radios and allows the whole suite to work together.
Wouldn't that have been part of our new 911 tower?
That's just the signal. That's just like the highway, right, that it runs on. Yeah. So. And then they offer software maintenance, portal access, which allows you to, log into a portal and see all of the radios and where they are and what they're doing and all of that good jazz. And I think the radios and the cameras integrate with each other these days. So if for whatever reason you turn your camera on, I think, they talk like if you call in something, it automatically turns on your camera. And that's all the software management.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see that. I guess that'll be a full board decision anyway.
Right.
But at least we can get some information gathered.
So I'll see about some additional information from Eric, but at the moment, is your feeling that I go ahead and put the money into the budget for this for next year? And that's kind of what I'm looking for a little direction on is I mean, obviously you will have many opportunities to review this before we get to the end.
Right.
But for planning purposes, do I go ahead and throw this in?
I would put the money in because you're gonna have to do it one way or the other. It's just, and that's quite important that the radios are
Oh, they have to have,
part of the operation. You've got to have the radios. And,
yeah.
we piecemeal it and they start going bad. One's bad today, one's bad tomorrow, the next.
Sure.
I meant to have that. I apologize. This is just where we're.
We're gonna have problem.
We could get a grant of some sort and use some of the ARPA money and get them all.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we could revisit our insurance discussion because MMRMA has grants available for this kind of stuff, but we didn't go with our MRMA.
What is that?
MMRMA is municipal Risk Management Association, or Michigan Municipal Risk Management Association. They are a pooled insurance group. They started about 30 years ago, initially working with sheriff's departments because law enforcement is very hard to insure. And so they cover all aspects of property and risk management for municipal units, cities, counties, sheriff's department, law enforcement, city police departments. They're different from a traditional insurance because they're pooled, right? They're self-funded. So all of the premiums go into the pot. And because they're a pooled insurance group, they're owned by their owners. And so if you are a good risk for them, then you get dividends back. And one of the things that they do with their funds is they make grants available to their members who are looking to improve, right? Things that would reduce risk. And so they have grants for these kinds of upgrades. They came and bid us 2 years ago. But the County Board of Commissioners at that time decided that they really preferred to work local. And look, Alpena Agency has been fantastic. I will say nothing bad about Alpena Agency. Steve Wilson has been absolutely outstanding to work with. But that's traditional insurance, and it doesn't have the kinds of programs that MFRMA does for this kind of thing. So.
Okay.
All right. That really was what I just wanted to keep you guys informed as to what we had and get a little feedback
All right.
from you. I think the last thing on your list is just for you as the facilities committee to review the real property agreement. The Economic Development Committee looked at this because it came up in the context of getting those lots out on M32 listed. And I found this policy when we were doing a policy review. It doesn't appear that it has been in our policy book, and I could not find when it was originally adopted, Commissioner Fournier. But it needed a few updates. We don't have a county coordinator anymore and stuff like that. So so that the Board of Commissioners and our office has a policy to follow. I felt like it was important that we bring this out and review it. Since you guys are the facilities committee, I like it should come here as well.
What is that we're looking at?
That's the sale of real property policy. You guys, in the Economic Development Committee, you had seen the original, the red line version. And unfortunately, or anyway, since that committee had already made a recommendation to approve the updated version, that was what was put in your packet. And Commissioner Fournier just asked for the original.
I wanted to see what had changed.
I just printed her off the
In
original.
the original, the new version that we have to,
I saw that, I got that right here.
Yeah.
so are we taking, okay, the old version? Yes. County. So she's not a. Could we table this so I could read it through? I mean, otherwise we're gonna be here.
Sure, and it's going to full board as well, Commissioner Fournier,
I
so,
understand that.
yeah.
I'd like to understand it. I don't like to pass a policy without comparing the two and what we are changing.
Yep.
Makes sense, because I don't know what I'm doing and vote on it. So I would make a motion that we table this, and it's gonna be going to full board for their approval. In the meantime, that'll give us a chance to go through it.
Okay. So we have a motion to table this.
Well, really, it would be a motion to move it to full board.
Yeah, it's
You table it, it's just gonna.
Right.
but to full,
Move it to full board, okay.
Yeah.
So the motion that we have out is to move this to full board.
right, and that'll give us a chance to read it,
Okay,
and that'll give full board a chance to see it on the agenda to read. And then we'll all be on the same boat. Some of us will be sinking and others won't.
Yeah, I'll second that.
so we have a motion. Move this to full board by Commissioner Fournier and support by Commissioner LaHaye. So we'll ask for all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes to move this on to full board.
Okay.
I think that's it, right?
Recycling monthly report.
Just receive and file.
Okay, receive and file that. And we already got the managers.
Do we need a motion to receive and file? Okay, so I'll make the motion to receive and file the report,
The
the
recycling.
recycling report, yep.
Okay,
So I've made the motion and we've got support by Commissioner Fournier. So all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes to report the recycling. All right, next meeting, Wednesday, October 18th.
Okay, I make the motion, we adjourn.
I'll support that.
So we have motion and support. Before we vote, I want to take a quick look. Thought I was tied up that day, but I'm not. It's the 19th. So,
I thought it was 18.
no, my commitment is the 19th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we've got motion and support. Do we need to do, yeah?
You just say adjourn.
Right, meeting adjourned.